too autistic for me, or that's not realistic, bro. So those are the kind of things that various people say it's a problem with these kind of obscure arguments or unrealistic suggestions for policy or any kind of suggestion really that's just off the cuff and kind of loose or out there. Like if someone were to talk about gladiator games or vigilante justice or even some kind of abstract philosophical discussion or anything really, right? Whereas I think that kind of thing is just kind of is bullshit. It's there's where you draw the line for that. It's not really obvious, and a similar critique can be waged against the kind of other side, where, for example, like where humans in general, they love like thinking about politics and they watch the presidential debate or a politician giving a speech, and then afterwards people analyze this and they this is, and of course a lot of people know they do this for fun, right? But I think in the moment, in like in reality, people just take it seriously. And so I think with those more like too autistic kind of things, like, yeah, I mean, it might not be like realistic to like even ever implement like like some weird part of anarchist thought with vigilante justice, or replace the prison system with gladiator games, even though the UFC is up and running and it makes money as it is. It's just a matter of convincing people of that gladiators games would be acceptable. Whereas then with the politics and this kind of more accepted things, even among the kind of high IQ people, like they say, well, like this is like the realistic stuff, right? We can realistically think about the status quo and work within that. But what are you really gonna accomplish with that? I think, and especially in terms of thought and intellectual kind of discovery and adding to humanity, adding some idea out there. I think a lot of these like really far out there ideas, obscure topics, can really lead to eventually down the road like some interesting and novel idea that could be picked up in something completely different. Whereas some of these more like politics, like the Joe Biden, and what does Joe Biden mean as the new president? Like those are like, that's all kind of old hat. There's really not that much to be said unless you're interested in kind of like just predictions. It just becomes kind of astrology, really. That's what I thought about when I was thinking early this year about accelerationism and like Nick Land and stuff. And I thought that kind of stuff, just as a general broad kind of idea, accelerationism, not necessarily a Nicolandian thing, but just in general, so it's just kind of way too just kind of sitting on the wayside, watching things unfold. It's like with people's proclivity to take interest and talk about politics. It's a very passive thing where it feels like you're really participating in the unfolding of society, right? But a lot of those things where you feel like you're really participating and taking part of something, like a presidential race or a discussion about economic policy within the European Union context or whatever. Those are just really, they're not gonna do anything. You as an individual are not gonna contribute much there. Or that's how I would kind of just knee jerk and feel like that. Whereas with some of these more obscure topics, they might take a while for you to eventually get to a interesting thing. It could take it a really long time, but those, some thoughts can be eternal, simply put.